Okay, good morning, everyone. So, for today, our lesson will be how to read a text file, specifically a CSV file, using C language. Okay. So, first is we have to create our text file. So, I have already type here using Excel. So you can actually use Excel to create CSV file, or you can use any text editor like Notepad, even VS, or any other text editor. Okay, so here I'll be using uh, Excel to create a CSV file. So I'll first save this one. So to save, just click on File, Save As, maybe. Then no, the UL grades. I'll just browse UL files, class projects. I'll be saving it here in this folder. But first, you have to know the data, the type. So I'm going to use CSV MS-DOS. And then I'm going to place here data.csv, or maybe just data. I believe the extension will be automatically added by the application. So I have here now my data file, and then I'll just save that. Okay. And then maybe I can say, I'll just leave that here. I'll just check if I was able to create the file. So here is my folders, class project, C language. So here's my file, data.csv file. So again, you can open that or you can create that using text editor. Okay, so now we'll be creating the program on how to read a CSV file. So I'll be including maybe string.h because I might be using, or I will be using actually functions, string functions. So maybe just, okay. And then I'm going to define here maybe the maximum line length, because we're going to read line by line. Let's say 1024, or that's 1 kilobyte. Okay, 1024 is 1 kilobyte. Then we have here now our main program. So to read the file, we have first to create a file pointer. So to create a file pointer, we just use file and then asterisk FP. This is our file pointer. And then, so again, we're going to read line by line. So I need a variable that will be used to read each line of the text file. So I'm going to place here car line, and that's of course a string or an array of character. So maximum of max, or with the length of max line length. So that will be our line. Okay, so again, so far we have opened our pointer, and here we have our maximum line. And the next thing we're going to do is to open the CSV file. So how do we open it for reading? So we have FP, that will be our file handler or a file pointer, is equal to fopen. So that is how we open. And then we have the file name. Now, we can specify here the path, but you notice I save actually my CSV file on the same folder where I save, or where I'm going to save the program. That's why I don't need a path. But just for example, you save your data file in another folder, maybe you have to specify the path, like let's say for example users, etc. Okay, so but I don't need that for the meantime. So again, you have to specify the path. So we're going to read the file we're going to open the file for reading. That's why I have here R. Again, R here means reading. Later on, we'll be having examples of writing. So we're going to use W or maybe read and write. So we use RW, but we'll be having another example for that. So for this particular example, we're going to open the file for reading. That's why we have here R. So in that case, we have now opened the file. And then we'll be checking if, let's say, we open the file successfully. So in that case, we have to compare it with null value. If FP is null, that means it was not able to create a memory pointer to that data file. So we don't have a pointer. And that means FP is equal to null. So that means there's an error. And then maybe we can just print error opening file. And then we can place here return exit. This is a built-in value, so that that will indicate that there's an error and the program exited with an error. You notice the program will exit with 0. That means there's no error if it will exit with 0. Or you can actually place any value here. Okay, so then after that, if the program will not pass through this portion, that means we have opened the file successfully. So if we open the file successfully, what we're going to do now is maybe let's have our heading printf reading data from CSV file /n/n. Okay, that will be our header. And then how do we read? So read file line by line. How do we read line by line? So we can do that using a loop and using fgets. So again, we have what? The variable, and then size of the variable. And then now, last time we used standard input, but here we're not going to make use of standard input. We're going to use of the FP. Again, standard input, yung stdin, is referring to the keyboard. But here, we're going to read data not from the keyboard, but from our file. So that is our CSV file. Okay, so we use here FP. Yeah. Then next now, if we use fgets, usually have \n at the end. We have want to remove that one. So remove new line. What's new line? That's \n. New line character at the end if present. So what are we going to do? We use line index by, we use str CSPN, so that will search inside the line where we can find \n. So that will give us the position, and that position will be our index. And replace the character where \n can be found with 0 or pwedeng \0. Yeah. Or we can also just use the number 0. So we just replace the character where we can find \n with \0, or that means null. Okay, and then tokenize the line using comma as a delimiter, because we're using a CSV file. So when we tokenize, if you're going to look at our Excel files, So we have here three fields. So when we say tokenize, we get each of these one by one. Okay? We get each of these. If you notice in our code, we have to read the whole line. This will read the whole line. So it will read the whole line. So in this example, it will read the whole line. And then for each line, we separate each of these fields or this data. So to separate these fields, we actually use what we call the token, or we have to tokenize the line. So in that case, our program now, we place here, so car asterisk token, so we have our pointer is equal to str that means token, okay? And then line using comma. So this will get the first token, or particularly in the example, it will be the name. So first we're going to loop if token is not equal to null. That means if it is not equal to null, then there are still data that we can extract from the line. So let's say we want to print f, the token. So we assume that everything first is a string, and we use tab to separate. And then we have print out the token. We print the token. Okay. Then after that, we get the next token until the time that token becomes null. That's why we have a loop here. So until the time that token becomes null. So we get the next token again. We have here token is equal to str tok. Then just place here null separated by comma. So take note of how to get a token from a line of string. So this is our routine. Again, here we get the first token, and then we loop because we get each token until the time that the token is equal to null. So for each token, we print it using string type. So later on, maybe if you want to convert string to a number, then we have to determine the number here. We have to place here. Maybe we'll have another example for that, but not for today. So here we go to the next line, \n. So again, what did we do here? We get one line. We replace the last character, the \n character, with \0, and then get the token. So while token is not null, so again, to get a token, we use the strtok function. So while the token is not null, print the token, get the next token. So we have here a loop until the token is null. That means that's the end of the line. Then once you have printed all the data, go to the next line, go to the next, read the next line of string. Okay? So until the time that we could not be able to get a line from our file. So again, instead of standard input, we use FP. So after that, we just close our file, close FP, so that we can release the file pointer, and then, yeah, return 0, or return that exit success. Okay, exit failure is not 0, maybe that's 1. Let's try if it is already working. Execute, compile and run. There. So I have here now my file. Masyadong mahaba yung mga names. Hindi tumapat. But I was able to read each line of text and display the values. Okay, so yeah, that is our demonstration of how to read text file. So again, a recap, we have to include first this one because of the strtok and strcspn functions. which were actually used in this program. Then we have to define the maximum line length. So in this case, I just use 1 kilobyte or 1024. Of course, you can increase that if you were going to enter a very lengthy line of data. Then we need to declare a file pointer, a character or a variable, a character array, or a string that will hold each line of data. Again, we say each line of data. This one is a single line. This is a single line of data. So we're going to get this one by one. And then, so how do we open the data for reading? So we use R. We use the fopen function. So here for the file name, you have to specify the path if necessary. And this is just to test if the opening of the file is successful. So that if it is not successful, so when will it be not successful? If, for example, this file is not present, or we don't have that file, or it is not readable, then that means our file pointer is equal to null. So we just print an error message and then return a value. Maybe that's 1. If not, then we read data from the CSV. So we just print our heading, and then what do? We get, so this loop will get each line of data until there will be no more line that can be read from the file, from the FE file. So we read each line. So after we read one line, we replace the line or the last character of the line by \0. So we have now the line. What we're going to do, we get each data using comma as our separator. So how do we do that? We use the strtok, or we tokenize our string. So here we get the first token. That means that's a name. So if token is not null, I have again a loop. We print a token, get the next token. So this is how we get the next token. We just print and print until the time that token is null. Okay, so this will just loop. So first it will get name, then it will print name. The next token will be the course. So it is not that null, it will print course. Then the next token will be the year. So it's not yet null. And then, this one after the year, then token will now be equal to null. Then it goes out of the loop. And then it will print \n. And then we close the file after we read each line, and then return 0. So more or less that's how the program works.